So what are your expectations for Stormgate?
Oh, yeah, okay. My expectations for Stormgate is that it'll be a very well-crafted game. I actually have a lot of faith in what they're doing, and not just because they are people who, a lot of them helped make StarCraft 2. A lot of them were heavily involved in StarCraft 2, and I forget my third reason. They're good people, I guess. But also because I've talked to them, and I agree with like 99% of their ideas. And then the ideas I don't agree with, I'm not even sure they're going through with. So it's possible I agree with all their ideas. But I don't think that translate into a very successful esport. I also love their approach to esports, which I don't think has been revealed yet so much, even though there's been a billion interviews. So maybe it has. Uh, but even then, even as they try to marry, that free to play with esports that League of Legends was able to do to create the kind of cycle, keep on going back. I just don't know if you can really get that gust of wind to boost you along, right? It seems very much it's got to be a lightning in the bottle type of moment
Yeah.
for a non super established publisher developer with a established history in esports too, that like works with like an established tournament organizer to make a actual career building esport. People being content creators about it, that can happen for really any game. It happens for tons of games out there. Being interested in it in a very active level and always coming back to it and having a decently high player base, I think that can absolutely happen. I think it could win awards for how good the game is. But actually getting to hit that special moment that just suddenly catches the attention of a lot of people and rides that high and continues growing, I think it's extremely difficult. So, best expectations for me, very solid game, good community outreach, good community participation from like the diehards and whatever casuals they end up bringing in, and then a very slow build up. Very slow. Like, if I had to give numbers, like the first alpha tournament's like 40,000 viewers, which is actually pretty good. But again, it's like the first thing we see from it. And then their first actual tournament after the beta has been finished, maybe again 40K, and then probably drop down to 20K. And then they build up again over like years, which isn't terrible. It's not terrible. And I'm using StarCraft numbers. So
Yeah.
actually, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, for people who want it to be the thing that pushes RTS past StarCraft 2 or pushes it up to the level of like a Valorant or a League of Legends, I mean, I just think that's basically impossible.
That's one of the most sober answers I've gotten from a question like that. So I appreciate that. I yeah, no, a lot of people have talked about how like they're gonna switch over as a pro gamer and stuff like that. And that's awesome, and I would love to see it. But yeah, I also agree that I don't want to get my hopes up too high that we're going to have a community that's anywhere near what StarCraft was around
Yeah.
Stormgate. So that kind of ties into the last question. Do you think that if Stormgate is able to produce a successful esports scene, that will kill StarCraft, or do you think that
Mm.
those two communities can coincide for a bit?
It's really difficult to answer because we don't know the future, but also we specifically don't know if Microsoft is ever going to do anything. Because that would really throw a wrench into whatever I'm thinking of. Let's say a world where Microsoft doesn't do anything or doesn't go through with the acquisition. Um, yeah, it eventually would, because you would just it would be the easiest thing to answer because you would have a video game that actually continues building and improving and listening to the community, and a video game that doesn't. It's like even the best video game in the world is eventually going to fall out of people's daily livelihoods, right? If there's not going to be new stuff to do, and once it's gone, it's gone for a while. So I don't think, again, if Microsoft's not at all involved, I don't think StarCraft 2 will just disappear off the face of the earth. I think we'll have actually a decent, if ESL continues with the current plan too, let's say this is the plan for 2024 and 2025, my expectation would be that obviously 23 looks pretty much like it does now, even though Stormgate's supposed to have something soon. And 2024 would also look pretty similar for Europe and North America. I think Koreans are probably the most likely to be like, oh, goodbye. And then 25, I would guess, is when StarCraft 2 hits a considerable decline in player base because the pros have declined and the tournament numbers have declined and the excitement has declined. And StormGate is proven or not proven, I guess. Either way, what it can be. But if Microsoft gets involved, I think there's actually a really big chance that they inject StarCraft 2 again. And that actually I could see creating problems for StormGate, which I haven't heard many people discuss. But if Microsoft came in and doesn't make StarCraft 3 because that would take way too long, but starts to include co-op commanders in like the Xbox Pass and starts to balance again and puts in money like they do for Age of Empires, gets us in a castle or whatever, a spaceship, I guess. I think that would actually kind of hurt Stormgate's main appeal, right? Because kind of, if we're being really truthful, Stormgate's main appeal is that it's continuing on StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but basically that's what it's doing. But if StarCraft 2 continues on, then why would we need a sub StarCraft 2?
Yeah, I mean that's actually Carson in my interview with him said that verbatim, right? He said like,
Okay.
StarCraft, Stormgate is going to be StarCraft 3 spiritually. Like that's the view of the
Yeah.
community.